Let's talk about Oxford University and, those tiresome woke students. Calvin Robinson is a Conservative commentator and joins us right now. Good morning to you.
Good morning,
Good
Julia.
morning. Now, you're still working in universities and having to deal with these ghastly people. In my day, we went along to get a degree to get a better job. We wanted a bit of extra education, and basically we were there to drink and to party and to do things that our parents didn't want us to know about us doing.
Yeah.
These days, it seems to be you go to university to virtue signal, to try and ruin other people's careers and stop people from saying things and doing things and not seeing or hearing anything that could cause you any offence or upset. And that apparently now includes seeing a portrait of the Queen, according to Magdalen College, Oxford postgraduate students.
I know. At one stage, students would have been seen as radical. These days, they're taking down posters or portraits of the Queen as if they think that is a statement. It would be more of a statement to put up a portrait of the Queen these days.
I notice now you're talking to us, people who are not watching on YouTube, and why aren't you? You're actually in your room at Oxford University with your Union Jack pillowcase. Is there a portrait of the Queen there? I can see.
Absolutely, there is. And there's a massive portrait of the Queen in our common room. And I actually said to our common room committee yesterday, can we put out a statement, with this portrait, put it on Twitter and show people that we're proud of our British values and proud of Her Majesty the Queen? And the response was, there's some white chocolate and raspberry muffins for tea. So this is the issue. Either students are entirely woke or they're just, sitting by and letting the woke get on with it. And that's why we're in the state that we're in.
And that is the worry, isn't it? Because actually this is a tiny minority. You think, well, the students voted for this. Oh, there'll have been 7 of them at this utterly pointless meeting. You know perfectly well the students who get involved in this stuff are people who haven't got better things to do or indeed better things to drink. And frankly, having spent 3 years at Magdalen myself, there was always something better to do than go to any sort of committee meeting, given that the fact that it's got the most amazing grounds, the best bar in Oxford, bar none. And it's also got its own collection of about 30 punts, so you can go punting on the river, which runs right through the centre of the college. I mean, this is as about idyllic and perfect an existence as you can have for 3 years, as I very much enjoyed some 30 years ago. But this is the thing. It'll be a tiny minority of students who voted for this. Everyone else is going, what you're talking about. But the vast majority just roll their eyes and get on with life. But then we get this impression that all students are like this. But they're not, are they?
No, not at all. We've got this social justice warrior crowd that want to be seen as the good guys on the right side of history. But instead of getting out there in the world and doing some good and solving some problems, they'd rather just virtue signal and pull a portrait down. How difficult is that to do? Come on, and how does that change the world for the better in any way, shape, or form? If anything, the Queen is a symbol of strength and unity in this country and around the world. People love Her Majesty the Queen. So taking her portrait down is actually counterproductive.
Yeah, I mean, look, you and I differ on these issues. I've got a huge respect for the Queen, and I think she's provided an incredible focus point for unity over the years, and not least actually during the pandemic. And I think she paid a blinder, and I've got every sympathy for her at the moment as a grieving widow as well, and still getting on with the job. I mean, all credit to the woman. I however, don't believe in a hereditary monarchy. I do believe we should have an elected head of state, and I think she stood for election, she'd win hands down. But I'm not in any way distressed by seeing a picture of the Queen. I find this really quite bizarre, and the idea that she is this symbol of all things bad in the world, as if nothing else bad ever happened that wasn't done by the British Empire. There is this incredibly strange view that a lot of young people have, largely, I'd like to say, white middle class people who've led a very privileged existence, that Britain is like the only worst evil in the world, and what Britain has done in its past is uniquely bad in terms of the slave trade, in terms of colonialism and the like. I mean, these are Oxford students. Have they done any other history, any other world history? Do they know how bad the world was for so many millennia?
Well, there's actually an inherent racism behind that, I think, because they don't hold other countries to the same standards that they hold us to. Why is that? And this whole idea that the Queen is this symbol of colonialism, when she's probably the most progressive monarchy we've ever had, and she's pretty much taken the empire and turned it into a union of choice where countries can choose to opt into this commonwealth for strength and unity. It's the opposite of an empire. Like, she's the biggest decolonizer in the history of the world, actually. So whether you love the monarchy or not, you can't really call her a colonialist.
Yeah, exactly. How do you think this all ends, though? We had the Education Secretary, Gavin Williamson, tweeting about this, and people being cross about him getting stuck into these culture wars. But more and more people are actually saying, we do need government to step up. But they have had this sort of this new law to try and stop censorship and closing down of debate in universities. You could argue, well, they shouldn't be closing down a debate over whether or not the Queen's portrait's up. I mean, I think it's utterly ridiculous. But if that's their way of expressing their free speech, they should be allowed to do it.
I'm with you. It is ridiculous, but it is democracy. Maybe if they opened up the vote to the wider college, I think the results would be very different to what we saw in the common room vote. But we've got to leave it to the students. And the results will show as well, actually, that a lot of people that have left Magdalen over the years, people like yourselves and people that give money back to Magdalen, will stop doing so if the college turns entirely woke. So they've got to consider the actions that they're taking.
Absolutely. Calvin Robinson, always talking sense. Thank you very much there, live from his rooms at Oxford.